benefits for consolidation to cut out the redundancies? It's just obvious on its face. Of course it makes more sense to consolidate, not to have redundant services, to have District 70 and District 60 schools, to have a school board for the county, a school board for the city. Are we all one? Are we all one, Pueblo? Come on, Pueblo, let's unite. Hello, Pueblo City. For District 1, 2017, November 7th, for the Judgment Day, the Election Day that's coming up, the candidates who are running for District 1 are as follows. Number 1, Michael Stapleton, who's the Legislative Director of the Libertarian Party of Colorado. He's also a free market anarchist. That's Michael Stapleton. And then you have Bob Schilling, Robert Bob Schilling, who's the current city councilman. He's the incumbent who's fighting to save his own seat. He's been a city councilman for 10 years. He's famous for his mustache, and that's serious. Like, look at, here's a before picture. This is what Bob Schilling looks like without his mustache. I mean, do you see this man? No way. No, I judge this book by its cover, and I don't trust this man. Now, this man, on the other hand, this man, I don't know if I trust him or not, but I do trust that mustache. There's Bob Schilling. And then the third candidate, the third and final candidate, so you'll have a choice between 3 different individuals, is Tommy S. Farrell. And Tommy S. Farrell is an electric line engineer. So you have Tommy S. Farrell, Bob Schilling, and Michael Stapleton. Those are your 3 choices, District 1. The population of Pueblo City is 107,000. The population of Pueblo County is 165,000, which means there's a lot more of us than there are of them. Tommy S. Farrell used to work for Ward Electric Company Incorporated, which was established in 2013, in the past as a meter reader, the electric meter reader. So it's kind of ironic that Pueblo City's budget is $81 million, but we got more people. We got 107,000 people here, whereas there's, what, about 60,000 in the county? So we got 107,000 here. There's about 60,000 out in the county. They have about half the population. The county has half the population that the city of Pueblo does. The family who owns and operates Ward Electric created a different company, Ward Engineering Incorporated, which is the company that Tommy Farrell works for now. Tommy is not related to the family who runs both companies. And yet, they have twice the budget. Ward Engineering Incorporated is licensed to operate in Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, and Kansas. Tommy S. Farrell has a local office here in Pueblo. We have all the people, they have all the money. Tommy S. Farrell, the S stands for Shelley. The executive branch executes, the legislative branch legislates, and the judicial branch judiciates. That's our government. Checks and balances to prevent tyranny, to decide the fuck out of tyranny. Fuck tyranny. Tommy Farrell is very reachable. Tommy Farrell wants his message to reach the masses, so he has made himself very accessible. He's got a public Facebook page, facebook.com/Tommy Farrell 719. He has a Twitter account, which I can't stand Twitter, and he has his phone number posted everywhere, so you can send him a Facebook message or a tweet, or you can give him a call anytime at 719-569-5433 if you have any questions for him. That's why I'm a big picture. I'm a rule of law guy. When I walk by, people say, hey, that man believes in the rule of law. You're damn right I do. And I believe in checks and balances. I believe in the 3 branches of government. I believe in dividing power up in order to prevent tyranny. I think that's a good idea. Tommy's vision for Pueblo City is to make a more inclusive city council, one that meets with its people and is very proactive in communicating with us, which is weird. I'm for the rule of law, I'm for checks and balances, and yet I feel like some people might say that I'm being radical or controversial. I'm for checks and balances. I'm for the rule of law. That's cornerstones to American democracy. The rule of law? How do you not know the rule of law? Checks and balances? How do you not know and love checks and balances? Pueblo's unemployment rate is 3.5%. Tommy Farrell was a district executive with the Boy Scouts of America, teaching youth the importance of leadership through service while gaining experience balancing budgets, managing staff resources, and building community relations. Tommy S. Farrell earned a bachelor's degree in political science from Colorado State University of Pueblo. Tommy S. Farrell worked as a volunteer legislative aide for Republican State Senator Keith King and for Dania Esgar, the Democratic State Representative for House District 46. Tommy Farrell has been an aide for both a Republican politician and a Democrat politician. Few of Pueblo City's postmodern elections have had more than a 50% turnout rate, which means that for many years, Pueblo has had a failed democracy, a failed state. Most dramatically in 2001. In 2001, Pueblo accepted the results of an election in which 73% of the people of Pueblo boycotted. 73%! 73% of the citizens of Pueblo said, fuck this election, and yet the majority of the 27%, so the 14% of the public is who's choosing the representatives for all the rest of us, 14%. 14% is not the majority, and it's definitely not a democracy. Tommy Farrell is currently the president of the Southern Colorado Equality Alliance. Tommy Farrell was once quoted as saying, "Our theme highlights the importance of living vibrant lives. Now with how much hate we see around the nation and world, it's important to come together unified as human beings." Tommy Farrell is a gay man, which is fabulous. Tommy Farrell recognizes the Black Hills problem as a conundrum. Tommy Farrell points out that Black Hills Electric Company owns the power lines. So the newly formed Pueblo City Municipal Electric Company would have to use those power lines. They would have to pay rent to Black Hills. So we would have to pay rent to Black Hills in order to use the power lines, unless the city of Pueblo immediately transformed our entire on-the-grid society into solar panels and battery-based power society overnight. The per capita income for Pueblo City in 2000 was $16,026. $16,000. That's what the average Puebloan was making in 2000. $16,000, that's the average income? Tommy Farrell opposes Black Hills' predatory tactics, how they overcharge Pueblo more than everybody else in Colorado, how callous they are when they disconnect people's power, especially during the winter, and then the hassle and the expense of getting their electric reconnected. So he understands that Black Hills is a dick. Black Hills is a shitty company. The poverty rate in 2000 for Pueblo City, 14% of all the families are poor. 14% of families. 18% of the population. So that's about 1/5 of the population is poor. Pueblo City has pledged to have 100% clean energy by 2035. I mentioned to Tommy that it would be awesome if Pueblo City would start investing in solar trees strewn about the city for folks to charge up their laptops and cell phones free of charge. The tree is a solar tree, so it collects that solar power and it's storing that power, and then you can go to the solar tree and power up your laptop or your cell phone. 1/4, 24% of those under the age of 18. 24%. So that means 1/4 of all of our children, 1 out of 4 of our kids are poor. And then 9% of those age 65 or over. So 1 out of 10. Old people. Out of all the old people, 1 out of 10 are poor. Out of all the young people, 1 out of 4 are poor. And out of all the people, 1 out of 5 are poor. And then 14% of families. Now, I was just thinking out loud, but having a bunch of solar trees all over Pueblo City would be great marketing. So Pueblo's democracy isn't as bad as it was in 2001 when 73% boycotted the election. So even though there's more than 27% of the people who are voting, it still isn't breaking 50% in many of these elections. 2011, sham election. 2013, bullshit democracy. 2015, not a democracy, not a true democratic rule by the people republic state. It's ruled by a oligarchical, minority of voters who vote for the oligarchy who run over all the rest of us. 14% of the people in 2001 of the registered voters, 14% of the registered voters are the people's choice who matters. We have all the people, they have all the money. For tourists, for those looking to move their families or their companies to Pueblo City, they would look all around Pueblo City. So tourists would look all around Pueblo City and see all these solar trees. And they would say, oh my God, look at this progressive city. They got it going on. Look at all these solar trees they got going on around here. Look at all these solar trees they got operating around here. Personally, the total number of solar trees in Pueblo City could work as benchmarks. Since only 27% of the people turned out in 2001, the majority of 27 would be 14. So that means 14% of the population decided the policies for all the rest of us. 14% of the population chose all the ballot questions, chose all the judges, chose all the executive and legislative branches. 14%. 14%, not a majority. That's not 51% or above 50%, right? That's what a majority is, over 50%. Not 51, but over greater than 50%. Successful democracies, if we're truly going to call ourselves of, by, and for the people kind of people, we need a majority backing. In order for the elected officials to have the confidence of the people, they need to have the majority voting for them. If we don't get a majority turnout right, if we don't get a majority turnout right, if it doesn't break the 50% threshold, that's not democratic legitimacy. We have all the people, they have all the money. In order to guarantee Pueblo City of those new 24 cops of being good police, Tommy Farrell's in favor of having a citizens oversight board for Pueblo City Police Force. Tommy Farrell says that the Human Relations Commission currently operates as a kind of oversight board, but since they don't have any power, renders them ineffective. He would prefer an oversight board that actually had some power, that actually had some teeth, the power to subpoena, for example. We have all the people, they have all the money. Personally, I believe that the total number of solar trees in Pueblo City could work as benchmarks towards our 100% clean energy goal by 2035. The executive branch executes, the legislative branch legislates, and the judicial branch judiciates. Tommy Farrell said that he would try his best to get at least one solar tree constructed in Pueblo City somewhere. Probably be at the Riverwalk or the rich people, probably the parks for the rich people. I mean, what a gift for District 1. District 1, why don't you get a solar-powered tree somewhere in your district? Tommy Farrell will protect the marijuana industry here in Pueblo. So will Michael Stapleton. He's a libertarian. Of course he will. He's big on personal freedom. He's also a free market anarchist, even though Milton Friedman was in favor of some government. So it would be interesting to hear what government does Michael Stapleton actually believe in? What government and how much government does Michael Stapleton believe is necessary? So Tommy Farrell is going to defend the marijuana industry. Michael Stapleton will defend the marijuana industry. The only way that the premier marijuana industry of Pueblo can go backwards would be through Bob Schilling. Tommy Farrell said that he's prepared to explore all options for our energy needs, including being open to waste-to-energy programs, which has been so successful in Sweden that all Sweden has ran out of their trash, and they're now buying Norway's trash. Sweden's ran out of their trash. Sweden has no more trash to give. They turned it all into electricity. And it's that'd be awesome for Pueblo. If we were buying Colorado Springs and maybe even Denver and all these states, Oklahoma's trash, and we just boiled everybody's trash and we turned it all into electricity. Like the marijuana industry, you get out in front of that. You become the first one, and it changes everything. Colorado is synonymous with marijuana for the rest of Colorado's life, and that's a good thing. So Colorado was right when it came to the legalization of marijuana. Colorado should, or at least Pueblo, I think Pueblo City should jump on this, get out in front of this. I mean, we're turning trash into electricity. Trash. There's so much trash littered all over the place. We got 3 different private trash companies. To have one municipal company to turn the trash into electricity? Who would be against turning trash into electricity? That's like some Back to the Future shit. Turning trash into electricity, and now we can power our flying cars. Who would be against turning trash into electricity? Who would be against that? Big landfill. The people that's sullying your groundwater with a bunch of trash and bullshit. Tommy Farrell is in favor of the 1/5 cent sales tax for 24 new cops ballot question. But he struggles a bit with it. A sales tax is a regressive tax on the working class, but we also need public safety. So Tommy Farrell is glad that it's a ballot question that's being asked to the people, because then the people can decide what we want. And then he'll legislate the aftermath. Whatever we decide, he'll legislate that. Tommy Farrell read a Pueblo Chieftain article about question 300, but he felt like he wasn't being told the whole story. We have all the people, they have all the money. On Pueblo City's projected multi-million-dollar surplus for 2018, Tommy Farrell, like Mark Aliff, points out the lack of a clear focus the city has. It makes no sense for the city to ask the voters to pay for new cops and new roads with a sales tax when the city has multi-million-dollar surplus. Tommy Farrell diplomatically dodges the new road sales tax ballot question by saying, again, that he's glad that the people would decide on that issue. So he doesn't need to decide. He sees that there's stakeholders on different sides. Nobody wants their sales tax to go up, but how are we going to get the paved roads? How are we going to get the roads that we need? How are we going to get the cops that we need? So we need the roads, we need the police, and if we don't pay for it through a sales tax, how are we going to pay for it? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we start a trash to electricity program, and it's a business that just generates money on its own, and we don't need to tax anybody. We take those profits from that company, and we put it into the general fund, and that's how we hire new police, and that's how we get brand new roads. We have all the people, they have all the money. They got a budget of $171 million, so their budget is twice as big as the city's when their population is half the size. Now, it's not totally fair because we all vote in the county election, so it's all of us, right? It's all of our budget, but what is Pueblo County spending their money on that Pueblo City needs to be spending their money on? Why do we have 2 different governments? God, we must be the most schizophrenic county on the face of the planet. The executive branch executes, the legislative branch legislates, and the judicial branch judiciates. On the strange mayor ballot question, and I say strange mayor for the so-called strong mayor ballot question because I'm trying to disparage it. And how do you know the new mayor won't be strange? There's a bunch of strange folks around here, and if the leadership is a reflection of our people, well then, it's very possible we may get ourselves a strange mayor. Tommy Farrell still humbly leans in favor of the strange mayor, even though the strange mayor ballot question undercuts his own power to fire the chief executive, to fire the city manager, which is basically our mayor, our manager, our chief executive right now. Out of these 5 years, 2010, 2011, 2013, 2014, and 2015, 3 of those elections had no democratic legitimacy. Pueblo's elections in 2011 was 48%, in 2013, 47%, in 2015, 42%. So none of those broke the 50%, over 50% turnout rate threshold that a true blue rule by the majority vote from registered voters democracy requires. 2014 was a U.S. Senate race, and that had an impressive 66% turnout rate. And then 2010 was the majority too, barely with a 51% turnout rate. So essentially, they have all the money, but we got all the people. The county has all the money, the city has all the people. If strange mayor passed, I just may nominate Sam Azad to be our mayor. I wonder if the people would choose him. City Council has been choosing Sam Azad for years now. They could fire him. All it takes is 30 days and a majority vote of City Council. 4 out of 7 votes. 4 out of 7 votes in 30 days to get rid of a city manager. That's how easy it would be to get rid of our version of a mayor. Pueblo City's got a population of 107,000 people. Big landfill. People who want to drive to your house and pick up your trash and then go bury it into the ground somewhere. Oh yeah, great fucking solution there. Let's just burn the trash and produce some electricity out of it. Tommy Farrell isn't concerned about the constitutionality of the ballot question right now. He did say that if strange mayor is passed, then the right channels, the right protocols need to be adhered to. So the Section 1.2 says the way you change a council form of government is through a charter convention. So he's saying that if strange mayor passes, he will ensure that we will get a charter convention, as Section 1.2 of the charter states. Go through the proper channels. The proper channels is a charter convention. So he did say if strange mayor passed, the charter rules need to be adhered to. Therefore, a charter convention would have to be established per Section 1.2. Tommy Farrell will vote for strange mayor because he wants the chief executive to be a popularly elected politician. And I sympathize with that. When asked if he believed if the chief of police should be popularly elected, he said he wasn't opposed to it since that's similar to electing the county sheriff, but he wasn't advocating for a popularly elected chief of police. He basically believes that by getting the strange mayor, who's going to fire the police chief, so once we all vote, once we get a popularly elected strange mayor, then that strange mayor will handle everything in the city of Pueblo. That's the man. Once we pick the strange mayor, that power of that mayor is supreme. He's got all the violence, the monopoly of violence that comes with having state power. Pueblo's unemployment rate is 3.5%. Tommy Farrell believes that the zoo and the Arts Center should be fully funded. Tommy Farrell is also concerned about Pueblo City's poverty problem, and he has some ideas about it. The voters are a tyranny of the minority, and they're voting for an oligarchy, and they're a tyranny of the minority. So it's the tyranny of the minority voted on by the tyranny of the minority. As a candidate, they may bullshit and they may pander. But when they get into office, that's when they put all their cards back. They just circle the wagons. I got power, now how can I hold on to power? Now that they have no power and they're trying to get power, they're honest, they're more innocent, and wouldn't they say that something should be going, and they're more honest, they're more principled? And so when they make a suggestion that this is how things should be running, they're probably right most of the time. Pueblo City's budget is $81 million. Pueblo County's budget is $171 million. 81 million, the city, 171 million, the county. The county is actually making twice as much, or they have a budget that's twice as big as the city's. And I'm not for sure about the 10th Judicial District, what their budget is, nor do I know the District 60 or 70. The two schools in Pueblo County, which why are we not consolidated yet? Why are we not consolidated? I'm more prone to believe a candidate trying to get my vote for city council who's brand new versus somebody who's been a part of the establishment for 10 years. If you've been a part of the establishment for 10 years, well, you already got a body of work. You already got a bunch of, you got a record. So what did you do with your record? Your record should define who you are. What kind of person are you? What kind of city council person are you? The county has all the money, the city has all the people. I want a person who fights for the poor, who fights for the oppressed, the have-nots, while they're not around. they just keep fighting for them. They fight for the oppressed. They stand up to the elite. They're a people's champion. They stand up to the oppressors, the warmongers, the corporatists, the bankers, the fascists, the corrupt. As a citizen, one is honest. One can see with crystal clear-eyed vision what's happening and how things should happen. So we need to hear from these candidates. You should want to hear from these candidates. What do you think the problems are, and what do you think the solutions are to fix those problems? That's a good conversation. That's a conversation the entire city of Pueblo is supposed to be having right now. It's ruled by a oligarchical, minority of voters who vote for the oligarchy who run over all the rest of us. The 10th Judicial District is one of 22 judicial branches in Colorado. We're like the Chinese, man. There's a shit ton of us. There's a lot of people in Pueblo City. A lot of people. Jeff Chofner is the district attorney of the 10th Judicial District. He was elected November 2012. This man, I don't know if I trust him or not, but I do trust that mustache. Or you can give him a call anytime at 719-569-5433 if you have any questions for him.